alive once again, walking on our way to a gaming event. That's right, another AMA with me, Matthew Dawkins, self-proclaimed gentleman gamer. You know, on many occasions, I have pointed out that I didn't come up with the name gentleman gamer. I believe it was a YouTuber by the name of Tetsubo57 who still makes daily videos, has been doing so since way back in the early days of YouTube, who first saw my RPG reviews and said, "You're always so complimentary about games. You are a real gentleman gamer," or words to that effect. "You should call your channel Gentleman's Guide to Gaming." Thus, a legend was born. Hello, Hammond Eggan. That is where the Gentleman Gamer came from, not my own imagination. Not because I'm some incel. Can you imagine? I mean, I am admittedly playing a lot of dating FMV games right now, and it isn't out of a sense of deep-seated desperation on my part. I promise, maybe, Dr. Freud, my lad. So, hello, DJ Kehoe. Lovely to see you live again. And the fact that you remember that you've not watched any of these since April just shows how important these all are to you. You know, the last time you watched an AMA with me, that means the world. Do you know what else will mean the world to me? Not getting run over by the bus that's about to pass behind me. That's one thing. There we go. Just missed it. What else will mean the world to me? Well, I'm doing a counter, you see, everybody. DJ Kehoe, Hammond Eggan, Mr. Link the Vampire, Bertus Lombard Visser. I'm doing a counter. That's right, we're counting up. We want to get the number of pre-sign-up backers for Monster Kingdoms up to at least 200 before the campaign. Because the more pre-sign-up backers there are, the more Backit will publicize the campaign. They'll spread it to more and more people. That means I need all of you right now, all of you good people, to get on that chat. Let's see if I can get into that chat. Can I get into the chat? Can I post something? Let me see. I can start a poll. Can I type? I can sing or not. The number is something like 125. I'm not expecting that to go up to 200 off this call alone, but you never know. I mean, we've had big numbers before. Anyway, it's in the video description below, so I'm not going to post it in the chat. I need all of you to go to the video description, to go to the link in that video description. There's only one for once, and today it's for the Monster Kingdoms Backit campaign. That campaign is not yet live. It's in pre-sign-up mode, which just means all you have to do is put your email address in. You'll get notified when that campaign does go live. We need as many people as possible to sign up to that. And I am watching those numbers as the stream goes on. So, if more and more people sign up, that means good news. Good news indeed. Now, Monster Kingdoms is, of course, the next big game that I've developed for Onyx Path Publishing with a fantastic team of writers, wonderful team of artists. I'm very much looking forward to you seeing the art that is coming up for Monster Kingdom. We're going to start teasing it over the next few weeks, I'm sure. And of course, you'll be able to see some of it on the Backit campaign. But most importantly, I'm interested in seeing what everyone thinks of the manuscript. Because as with every single Onyx Path Publishing game since I don't know when you back the campaign at PDF level or above, you get access to the manuscript during the course of the campaign. This also provides you with the opportunity to provide feedback on said manuscript, which, as if you were a supporter of Curseborn, you will know will lead potentially to you influencing the content of said manuscript. Maybe there's something you find that needs adding. Maybe you find something that needs taking away, or adjusting, improving, elaboration. Well, the Backit campaign is the chance to do that. So I invite all of you who are watching this live, head on over there. There we go. Brobo Meliad has bumped up to 126. Thank you very much. And can always rely on you. Can always rely on you, Brobo Meliad, to support my games with one breath, destroy them with another. So, yes, Monster Kingdoms is the third in the Earthbane cycle of games. First, there was the world below. Second, there was At the Gates. Third, there was Monster Kingdoms. And Monster Kingdoms is the Earthbane game where evil won. The game starts in a world where evil is dominant, because your characters are not champions of light fighting against the darkness. Your characters are not heroic paladins leading a crusade against evil. No, you are the tools of evil. You are its propagators. You are fanatical cultists spreading evil faiths. You are monsters trying to spread doom to the rest of the world. You are worshippers of darkness, builders of dungeons, wielders of torturous implements, snatchers of scepters and crowns, would-be conquerors, and other such nasty creatures. Now, obviously, if you've played games like Vampire, or Demon, for that matter, Wraith, or indeed any of the Chronicles of Darkness games, Curseborn, you'll be familiar with playing a monster in a game. This is not a game that punishes you with humanity. It is not a game that expects you to adhere to a moral track. The only moral relativism in this game is what you decide is too much for you. Does that make it sound edgy? Does it make Monster Kingdom sound a little too cool for school? Like it's just trying to shock and appall? Well, if you've ever read the Berserk manga, you'll be familiar with what we're going for with Monster Kingdoms. Yeah, we're embracing that edge. We're riding along it on a fucking unicycle, wielding dual rapiers. Because I wanted to develop a game where you could play a monster unrepentantly, with evil powers, evil aims, and hell, build some dungeons that heroes will wander into, and you set the traps and pick the monsters and set the trials that they will have to go up against. That is what Monster Kingdoms is. You can still indulge in dungeon crawls, except now you're trying to snatch away the monsters and the treasure from other monsters, or the dungeon happens to be a temple of the light. You can still slay great beasts, though it's to take their powers to use as your own. You can still demolish rival kingdoms, though it's either because they are holdouts, beacons of hope, or because they're threatening to invade your land, or because your king just wants more territory to add to his flag. Monster Kingdoms is a game about being evil. That's all there is to it. And if you're expecting more depth than that, if you're expecting nuance, if you're expecting some deep, ingrained humanity system, well, the world of darkness is over there. This is the Sabbat in a fantasy setting. So yeah, we're being cool, we're being edgy, I'm wearing my black t-shirt, and we can embrace that instead of feeling ashamed of it. Now that I've done my very long elevator pitch, I think it's been all the way up Hancock Tower, because that was quite a long one, let's see what people have been asking. And by the way, while I'm talking, do head on over to the link in the video description below, so you can get notified when the campaign for Monster Kingdoms goes live. Let's see, first question from Link the Vampire. I think you may have already answered this, but did you say that Monster Kingdoms and At the Gates come from the same game jam as The World Below? No, they did not. The World Below was the was the only one that came out of a game jam. It was on the Onyx Pathcast. I can't remember which episode. I pitched The World Below. It was a 3-minute pitch thing, or 2-minute pitch. Eddie and Dixie, my venerable colleagues, Onyx Path Publishing, had to pick out some like slogans, catchphrases, buzzwords, or whatever, and I had to build a world around it. And I came up with The World Below. I liked the idea enough that I then developed it into a full-blown pitch. And you can listen back to the episode and see how much of The World Below has actually survived from that original concept. At the Gates was a concept pitched, I believe, quite a while back by Danielle Lozon and Onyx Path. We were waiting on a good time, a good place to incorporate it, and naturally found places where we could tie it to The World Below and other upcoming games in the Earthbane cycle. We then found that slot and kind of gave it the green light. Monster Kingdoms was an idea Rich Thomas had at first. It was Rich's concept. Very simply put, playing monsters, mythological beasts and so on as your protagonists in a D&D-esque game. But what it developed into from there was kind of in my hands. So the World Bible and so on, the setting, was my twisted invention. So all three of them are in the Earthbane cycle, which means they are all linked in their own ways. You can find out how, and there may be links to other games as well if you read between the lines in some places. Mr. Mister says, who are the antagonists in Monster Kingdoms? Well, if you're living in a world that's evil, you can guarantee there's going to be a lot of evil people around who want your shit. Your antagonists are going to range, as in any fantasy game, between a variety of monsters. And I think it would be unfair to say monsters who are more evil than you. It's more a question of philosophy. If there are monsters that want to enslave you, like servants, drones of the malignant mind, who is one of the major power players on the map of Gowin, the world that you're in, your monsters, who may be more about power seeking, wealth accumulation, dungeon building and so on, may of course resist that. But likewise, you may be trying to steal the old magic of the dragons, and so the languid dragon types, you may hunt them down and kill them to steal their magic. Shadow of the Colossus style doesn't mean they're any less monstrous just because you're the people killing them. But you can, of course, fight against heroes of light. There are not many of them. They are not fabled or indeed legendary. They are rare, and they are pretty fragile at that. But because they keep fighting, the damn fools are martyrs. So someone has to crush them down. Otherwise they might start building up some kind of organised resistance in the Monster Kingdoms, which won't do. There's already one kingdom that has flipped back to the light, known as the Kingdom of Shards, which has gone through something of a born-again revival. The Kingdom of Zin did the same thing, throwing off its fiendish overlords, only to become even worse. So there are certainly in the setting lots of moments of political upheaval and things your characters can get involved in. And just like in any fantasy game, exploration, monster slaying, treasure hunting, dungeon crawling, political intrigue, magical accumulation, the wielding of great power, assassinations and so on. All of your archetypal plots are possible within the Monster Kingdoms. Just don't feel you have to handle things in the most honourable and ethical way. Hello, Super Vlad. If you have not already signed up, Super Vlad, to be informed when the Monster Kingdoms campaign goes live, the link to do so is in the video description below. And I am watching that counter. I want it to go up. So on post, let us know what number we are on. We started this video on 125. Let's at least get up to 130. Super Vlad wants to know, I found the complexity of the prerequisites of World Below intimidating. Is Monster Kingdoms more or less complex? I would say that it's the same complexity. But on that note, I would love to answer your questions about what you find complex. You see, in character building, there are 3 paths, and this is the same across both games. In simple terms, you have your origin, which in Monster Kingdoms is defined as kingdom, and in the World Below is dawn. That has various sub bits and pieces, like which settlement are you from, what's your faith, do you belong to a guild in the World Below. In Monster Kingdoms, it's more about your heritage, the kingdom you come from, and your house. But then you have the major one, which is the equivalent to a class or a clan, which in the World Below is your calling, and in Monster Kingdoms is your mantle. And then in the World Below, your dialectic, which is the way the world around you is changing it. And in Monster Kingdom, you have your dusk, which is your philosophy, which tends to be something pretty bloody miserable, like doom or darkness, acquisition, faith, which sounds positive, but in the Monster Kingdoms really isn't. Yeah, there are lots of fun dusks to have. Now, if you're talking about the powers that you gain access to, the theses and syntheses and sorceries, theses and syntheses in the World Below, the prerequisites are always listed underneath the powers. So you either have to come from a certain settlement, belong to a certain dogma, have a certain number of dots, usually 1 dot in a specific skill. Same goes for the edges, and that's all they are, edges, in Monster Kingdoms. There are no syntheses or sorceries in Monster Kingdoms. Instead, you have scepters and crowns. Scepters are weapons that are magically bound to you, like Stormbringer in Elric, that will have names and will grant you certain devastating abilities. Crowns are even more devastating, but you can only claim them after slaying their former wielder. And crowns obviously make you a crown bearer, make you one of the most infamous characters in the realm. Brobromiliad wants to know if we get stats for Lego Brick Firewalk floors. Yeah, why not? Primary pool is 8, and that means the antagonist uses 8 dice when rolling to give way to trap you or set you on fire. Secondary pool is 6, which it uses to throw other bricks at you. Desperation pool for everything else is a simple 4 dice, gains no enhancements. I think I'd give it a point of armor because Lego can be quite tough on your feet, but only something like 2 injuries. You can destroy Lego pretty easily if you can find a crack in them. There we go. Now, I've noticed there's a hold-up on the chat. I hope people can still see. Do you have any other questions, everybody? Because I'm still walking and I'm not seeing anything appearing. Let's see, do we have anything else? We do, it just wasn't appearing for me. Wow, there's lots of stuff. Yeah, loads of stuff there. And for some reason it just wasn't showing up for me. Hammond Eggan says, from the description it sounds like it's very open for many different creatures of the night. How will the creation reflect this? Is it similar to Curseborn with lineages and such, or much more open? So you have your, well, I say base heritages. There's something like humans, elves, dwarves, orcs, goblinoids, wraiths, vampires, shapeshifters, feyborn, fiends, forlorn. I think that's it. If I'm forgetting one of them, they're monsters, they'll forgive me. There's 11 at least of heritages, and each heritage has at least 3 sub heritages in the forms of houses, which define more things like what they might look like, how they might act, what their cultures are, subcultures, and obviously there's mythology surrounding each of them. But beyond that, there's a lot of ways the game can go. I can see it being very expandable to encompass even more creatures of a fantasy nature. We wanted to start out with the core fantasy experience that extends to evil. So that's your humans, elves, and dwarves, and orcs, and goblins, I guess. And add some of the more horrific elements that tend to appear in fantasy games like vampires, wraiths, shapeshifters, fairies, and fiends. And seeing how the game is received, we can obviously expand from there, but it's a game with a lot of scope. Super Vlad says, how powerful are the PCs meant to be if you're going to be ruling kingdoms? Well, you're not going to be ruling kingdoms in a minute, Super Vlad, though you could. You could very easily make an adventure out of killing one of the kings or queens, and they are definitely killable. The question then is, how are you going to hold on to that power if you're not strong enough to keep it? I would suggest that any character who wields at least 2 crowns is going to have the power to possibly topple a monarch in the Monster Kingdoms. But yeah, then you've got the issue. Lots of other people are going to want to topple you. Sometimes, politics being what it is, other monsters want certain malleable kings and queens in control, and they might see a dethroner like you as more problematic and certainly desirable to oust. It's the old vampire LARP issue of, yes, it's fun to assassinate the prince, but now someone's going to assassinate me. Hello, Twilord. Thank you very much, Supervad, for signing up. Thank you, Link the Vampire. I know you've already signed up. You're very enthusiastic. Twilord, so if you achieve a monster empire, is that a win state, you ask? Well, you can't win in a role-playing game, but very briefly, at least. Very briefly in the Monster Kingdoms, you'll be known as Emperor Spleen, or whatever your name happens to be. And maybe your very short reign, maybe a very long reign, the reign of Emperor Spleen, who united the Monster Kingdoms under a tattered banner before being torn down by his own squad of fellow monsters who were all promised their own kingdoms. These are your fellow player characters, mind you. And then discovered that Emperor Spleen wanted to keep it all for himself. That sounds like a story worth telling. You know what, Studio H&H, Kim? I'm very happy for the return of this gloomy English weather, because yesterday it was unbearably hot while I was running my Chinese dating FMV game on this channel. Made for very uncomfortable playing and viewing. Sam Average Man says, any chance we can get a Macho Man Mithras cutting a promo on Valerius or Queen Anne? Tell you what, Sam Average Man, if you add your email to the list of people to get notified when the Monster Kingdoms campaign goes live by clicking on the link in the description below, I will cut a promo on Valerius as Prince Mithras, as Macho Man Randy Savage. How about that? If you've already done so, I'm afraid I'm going to have to up the offering and ask you to purchase a copy of The World Below. Link the Vampire says, the last Monday meeting notes listed a bunch of the kingdoms in a nutshell. Will there be even more in the draft manuscript? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You get a lot of information on every single kingdom. Anyone who has read any of the books I've developed will know I'm a big fan of setting. I don't feel like... I like, obviously, as a GM, making the world myself. But I also love telling stories as a writer. So the World Bible, which goes through the history of the Monster Kingdoms, a lot of the setting information that provides, in fact, all of the setting information, I think, that goes into depth on the geography, locations, characters, short of some of the most fantastical dungeons that are there, was written by myself. And that's because I love that kind of thing, and I think people find it interesting to read. Certainly, I'm a massive fan of things like the Forgotten Realms campaign settings of 2nd and 3rd edition. I love the Planescape campaign setting. I love a good campaign setting. I love an interesting world, and Monster Kingdoms definitely has that. There's clear skies in the Midlands. Good God. Paul McKenna says, hello, all nice to see one of these live for a change. Well, Paul, you know what will make it even nicer? If you click on that link in the video description below and sign up to get notified when the Monster Kingdoms campaign goes live. We're trying to boost that number to over 130. We want as many people as possible signing up to get informed when that campaign goes live, because the more people who sign up, the more backer kits will spread it around, the more likelihood we have of the game getting funded quickly. Twilord wants to know, are Monster Kingdoms and Curseborn operating on the same underlying system, homebrew, Isekai, crossover? They are both using Storypath Ultra, so yes, in theory you could have your Accursed from Curseborn walk through a liminality and end up in the Monster Kingdoms. That would be a very strange game of Curseborn, or Monster Kingdoms for that matter. But there is an entire kingdom run by vampires, Kingdom of Creor, which might fit some of the Hungry, but probably not all of them. Hammond Eggan, he says, thanks for the answer. Sounds really interesting. Always interested in playing Fae-type creatures in a darker setting. Yeah, some of the Fae creatures in this game are particularly nightmarish by design. Tom says, you could act out revenge against anyone who hurt you in the past. I don't know what that was in response to, but I am always keen on that. Thoughts on Kaiju appearing in Curseborn or any of the Earthbane cycle games, says Link the Vampire. I'm always in favor of giant monsters. It's always a struggle making them playable, because a lot of it roleplay is down to social interaction. And when you're a giant city-crushing creature, it tends to limit the possibility for nuanced conversation. But that doesn't mean it's impossible, especially if Transformers or Power Rangers style, you can grow into that size. Amos Unbalanced says, who was the coolest person who wrote for the Monster Kingdoms? Obviously Tom Murr, who responded to your comment. And everyone's saying hi to everybody. We're at 131. Mr. Mist says we'll be at 140 at this pace. Will we get there? Will we get there indeed? Well, if someone did, you tell me, Sam Average Man, did you sign up? Did you sign up? Because if you did, you get your... It's been a long time. It's been a long time, yeah. Since I last did a Macho Man, Randy Savage, promo about anybody, been a very long time. Dig it! Getting into the mind of Macho Man, Mithras of London, yeah. First name Mithras, last name Prince, See, Valerius, you come over here hot-tonguing and grandstanding as Seneschal of London, yeah, embraced in 1066. Battle of Hastings, dig it! Should have been won by Harald Hardrada, yeah, Norse King, yeah. Then comes William the Conqueror, down from the south, with the Pearl Harbor. Well, I can tell you, Valerius, you ain't no red lister, Valerius, no. Valerius Mayor, you are not. When I see you with Queen Anne, my Miss Elizabeth, I'm very inclined to use Potence 8 elbow drop off the top rope, yeah, dig it, to get you remembering. Who the unconquered son is, yeah. Who the Prince of London, the Barrys of Avalon is, dig it. First name Mithras, last name Prince, Anyway, that's me done with my Macho Mithras Prince of London promo. I think I've ran short of Oh, I didn't even say snap into it.
Step into a Camden, yeah.
Victoria says, how do you do that monster voice? I hear it all the time in your cult games. What? I don't remember Macho Man Randy Savage showing up in Cult Divinity Lost. I might have. I don't know. There's a lot of colourful characters in that game. The trick with doing a Macho Man Randy Savage voice, I found, and I don't rate my impersonation terribly highly, but when it's asked for, I will deliver, is to remember that he pronounces the word macho as macho. So as long as you can say,
first name Macho, last name Man, yeah,
it means you can go to a much lower register than if you tried
first name Macho, last name Man.
It doesn't work. It needs to be much lower than that. So,
been thinking, yeah, about the monster kingdoms, Mr. in the chat asks, Macho Man, what kind of kingdom do you have? Well, you might remember, Mr. that in the 1980s, I was the Macho King, Randy Savage, yeah, with the sensational Queen Sherry, Well, Macho King Randy Savage would be the king of the WWF, but also the king of the Nythera Empire. So not just a king, no, but Emperor Macho Emperor Randy Savage.
anyway, I'm done. That is genuinely me done. I'm driving away viewers at this point. People weren't signing up for this. They much prefer my Hulk Hogan. And his recent death obviously deeply disturbed me. I felt it should have come a lot earlier. So anyway, I feel like we have reached the end of our Monster Kingdoms questions right now because everyone's been stunned into silence by the Macho Man Randy Savage. And in answer to your question, Victoria, who's Randy Savage? Look up, type in Randy Savage promo on YouTube once this video is done. Educate thyself. You will learn a thing or two about a thing or two when you watch a promo by the Macho Man Randy Savage. Anyway, if no one else has any Monster Kingdoms questions, this is only AMA number 1. If any of the rest of you would like to know about Monster Kingdoms, do tune in, because I will be doing more of these as the weeks go on. And if any of you watching live right now have not, click that link in the video description below to get notified when the Monster Kingdoms crowdfunder goes live. Well, I can tell you that I need you to. I do want you to, but I do need you to as well. It isn't just a want, it is a need. I need as many people as possible to get notified when that campaign goes live. It'll increase the chances of it funding, it'll increase the chances of it spreading. And in the kingdom of Verot, that is all about spreading the love. Verot is all about spreading the love across the entirety of the Monster Kingdoms. So, click that link below, get notified when the Monster Kingdoms crowdfunder goes live, and I will very much appreciate it. Let's get up to 140. Let's get up to 140 and see what we can do. If we can reach 200 before the campaign goes live, I will be very happy indeed. All right, everybody, have a very lovely rest of your week. Tomorrow, I'm sure, if we get the time, we will play another god-awful FMV dating game, or FMV game of some kind. We've finished our journey to China with Ladies School Prince. We will not be returning to that game, as strange as it was, with its cat cafes and its Russian emigres speaking perfect Chinese to a disturbing degree. And next time we'll play something different. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Click that link, put your email in, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.